For you at 4, we are following breaking news for you still as a guilty plea has been made in the case of a high-speed chase that ended in the death of a Mercer County deputy last December. Court records are showing that 43-year-old Ian Cramer, the son of North Dakota Senator Kevin Cramer, pleaded guilty to all of the charges he faced in connection with that car chase crash that killed a North Dakota sheriff's deputy. Cramer pled guilty to homicide, fleeing a peace officer, preventing arrest, and reckless endangerment. He also pled guilty to multiple drug-related counts. Now, the prosecution did not agree in advance to recommend a lower sentence as part of the plea. The homicide offense is punishable in North Dakota by up to 20 years in prison and or a $20,000 fine. Now, that chase started back on December 6th with a report of a stolen SUV being driven by Cramer. The Highway Patrol says that Cramer crashed head-on into a Mercer County Sheriff's Office patrol vehicle. Deputy Paul Martin was standing outside the vehicle and died from the impact of being hit.